Satoru Gojo is back. This isn't clickbait, this isn't a lie, it's just insane how, yes, he is officially back in the story and Sukuna is witnessing him right here, right now, as JJK 260 ends on a just ridiculous cliffhanger of Gojo. Yes, he is back in full, 6 eyes and all. And right now this is trending everywhere. Everybody's talking about this, it's very controversial, and there's so many questions to ask. Is this really Gojo? Is this a ghost? Is this an illusion? If it's the real Gojo, how did he come back? Was it a binding vow? Is he a cursed object? Did Shoko really heal him? There is so much to talk about with Gojo officially being back in Jujutsu Kaisen, so let's just get right into this. Be sure to leave a like, it does help out. Thank you very much, and of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content like this. Less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I promise you, you won't regret subscribing, and of course, thank you to the special great members of the channel, it's much appreciated. Let's get right into this. So, what happened is Yuji and Todo were just dominating Sukuna this chapter. There's no ifs and buts, they were just absolutely rocking him, dog walking him. I mean, it was just like Dance Dance Revolution, how they were just being this guy into an oblivion. And as Sukuna was about to activate his domain expansion, because of course, you know, he's getting pressed by Yuji, he's getting pressed by someone who he thought wasn't entertaining. Right then, right there, at the end of the chapter, Gojo appears and oh my god. So what's being said right here is, it's from the narrator. What Sukuna saw is the strongest ghost that he had buried with his own hands. With the editor at the end of the chapter saying those eyes are unmistakable, and I do want to say that you should take the editor's words very seriously. Sometimes what the editors say is just to hype up the next chapter, but a lot of the times what the editor says ends up being true, and it's just a straight up foreshadowing of the next chapter. Of course, we know this since the editors know at least, I think, 5 or 6 or maybe more chapters ahead, because they have all the drafts, and of course he's even aware of the future ideas that the author wants to do, so he's probably aware of the very ending itself. And of course, that's how the editor knew at the end of JJK 258, where the editor said the flames of certain death roar. He knew that someone was going to die, and of course it ended up being true with Choso dying in the next chapter, as some people actually did predict that Choso was going to die specifically because of the editor's words at the end of the previous chapter. So when the editor says that those eyes are unmistakable, it really does fully confirm that this at the very least is Gojo. You know, whether it's a ghost, an illusion, a zombie, it's really him. You know, we'll get into that now, but at the bare minimum, this does confirm this is Gojo. There's no ifs and buts, and also the narrator also does say that it's the strongest ghost. Of course, the strongest meaning Gojo. That's his whole theme, that's what it's all about. It's just Gojo. I mean, when you say strongest, you're either referring to Sukuna, who's the strongest in history, or Gojo, who's the strongest of the modern day. And this was trending everywhere. I've seen people say, oh, I'm dropping JJK, this is garbage. I'm seeing people, especially the Gojo believers, saying, yeah, we won. To all the doubters, shut up. And you know, low-key, that's me on the inside, because I've been preaching that Gojo's gonna come back for a while, and I made a couple videos on it. I got a lot of hate for it, so if this is Gojo, best believe I'm gonna say I told you so, but I won't go there yet. I won't go that far yet. I want to see next chapter until we have full proof, until I fully confirm that it's a Gojo revival, because it is Gojo, 100% it's Gojo, but as to whether he's still alive or it's a ghost, that's the thing that's up for debate, where even the son of a bitch. Well, even the hardcore Gojo believers are saying, alright, you know, we should just wait one more chapter, we should see hard cold proof that this is Gojo. The reason being is because the editor's saying that it's a ghost. That's the main word that's being said. I'm seeing many different translations, and that's something that's consistent throughout, is that the narrator refers to Gojo as a ghost. Of course, that doesn't mean Gojo is not alive, because remember, Kashima was also referred to as a ghost by Sukuna, and Kashima was still alive. So at the very least in the story, it has been shown that when someone is referred to as a ghost, it could be talking about an incarnation. So what we could be seeing right now is, yes, Gojo did die, but perhaps he turned into a cursed object at the brink of death, and right now what we're seeing is the ghost, and I say that in quotes, just like Kashima and the other incarnated sorcerers who came back to fight everybody else. And again, I'm only saying that because this is something that Sukuna himself said, it's wording that has been used before, and it's just interesting how we're seeing the same terminology be used that was used for Kashima and other incarnated sorcerers be used for Gojo, because that was one of my big theories I made. If you saw my video from a month or two ago, my very viral video, where one of the theories that I said is that Gojo could have turned himself into a cursed object at the brink of death. Now, we don't know how people do this or what the circumstances are. I mean, we know that at least 3 sorcerers can do this: Kenjaku, Sukuna, and a sorcerer from 2,000 years ago whose name we don't know, unfortunately, but this was the person who first turned Jirov into an incarnation before Kenjaku did 1,000 years ago. That's a whole tangent I won't get into. But for that reason, because there's so little information on how you turn yourself into a cursed object, object, it does make it possible that Gojo could have turned himself into a cursed object because we don't know the explanation. So we could see Gojo next chapter, he's back and he says, oh, I turned myself into a cursed object on the brink of death, yada yada yada, I figured it out. I mean, we've seen this story play out before. We've told you where he was like, yeah, I was on the brink of death, I was about to die, but I figured it out. I healed myself with reverse curse technique. So it wouldn't be the first time that's happened, and it would parallel very well with this chapter because Gojo in this chapter looks exactly like he did when he came back against Toji and he was like, yo, I'm back, for real, for real. He has the same stance, the same one look in his eye, and it's very interesting because Gojo right now looks exactly like he did in a cover page that GEGE drew, a color page, specifically the one that he had the halo above his head. It's very funny because people use that for years to foreshadow that Gojo will die, and now that's sort of being brought back as people are saying that the halo is actually him coming back to life and he's a ghost because he's got the exact same look in his eye, pose, face. So if that was really what GEGE was going for, that is pretty wild foreshadowing, I cannot lie. Of course, we cannot deny the possibility that maybe he really is just a ghost or an illusion that Sukuna is seeing because Sukuna right now is on the brink of death. This guy has 1 trillion nerfs on him, he has been hit by everything possible. He has literally 1v0'd the entire verse. I mean, if you're counting characters who count as supports, it's over 20 characters. I have counted. That's how many people Sukuna has fought. He has fought the strongest of the modern day Gojo, and he has not rested since that fight. He has fought Kashimo, Higuruma, Kusakabe, Ino, Yuji multiple times, Yuta in his domain, Maki, Choso, Miguel, LaRue, all about rest. He's doing all this back to back. He has lost multiple limbs, his reverse curse technique and normal output is nerfed into the dirt. He's got 50 binding vow nerfs on his head. His heart isn't even working, so he's gonna pump it with cursed energy. He's missing 2 of his arms, he's missing a tongue on his stomach now. He's got way less than half of his cursed energy, and of course he's injured to hell. On top of the 7 black flashes that Yuji hit on him and all the other black flashes and the damage that he took this chapter, it wouldn't surprise me if Sukuna was just on the brink of death, and that's what he's seeing right now. Because he's getting closer to death, he's seeing Gojo, sort of like the borderline between the afterlife and the real world, and that may be why he's seeing, as I say in quotes, a ghost. But I do want to say, it is very possible that this is still Gojo. I think both things are possible, because do remember there's many ways Gojo could have come back. Like I said, the cursed object theory that I explained before, Shoko may have healed him with Utahime boosting her reverse curse technique output because that is something Utahime can do, and it could very well be possible that Gojo made a binding vow on the brink of death to bring him back to life and sacrifice for one of his eyes, because when the editor said those eyes are unmistakable, at least from what I saw with Gloken, apparently in Japanese when the editor says eyes, it can be used in reference to either one eye or both eyes. It can mean either or. It could be possible that Gojo only has one eye, and the theories are true that he did sacrifice an eye as a binding vow to resurrect himself, which would be pretty crazy, and it would be pretty fitting because Sukuna was only able to kill Gojo with a binding vow, so it'd be pretty funny if Gojo came back via a binding vow, and it would just make sense. I mean, we've seen Sukuna abuse binding vows again and again and again. I mean, he's made at least 9 confirmed binding vows as far as we know. Could be much more throughout the series, so it would be pretty awesome if we get to see Gojo just abuse some binding vows as well and bring himself back to life. You're trying to kill the man with a binding vow, he'll bring himself back with a binding vow. Now, as for what this means for the story, of course you know my opinion from the videos I've made. I don't think this is bad writing, specifically because a lot of the issues that I would have had of Gojo coming back have already been addressed, so I don't think it's that bad, but you can't deny that it could have some ramifications depending on how it's done. In my own opinion, before you say it's bad writing, I think we should see how this plays out to see if it's good or bad, because I could easily see this being written in a way that's actually good, but of course it's one of those things where it doesn't matter if it's written in a good way, it's just gonna get hate no matter what. You know, people just don't want Gojo coming back, so if he does come back, there's just gonna be people who are gonna be upset no matter what. But it could be bad writing as well. I guess we don't know until the next chapter, until we find out what this Gojo is, if it's an illusion, if it's a ghost, or if it's really Gojo, and if it really is Gojo, why he came back, and especially how he came back. The how is the most important thing that I want to weigh on. But do you think Gojo is really back? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton. Thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I assure you, you want to get subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well. It is always much appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. That's all from me. Have a great day and take care.